Let's talk recession and home prices. Folks, some Crash Bro or several of them here recently must have done a video about the incoming recession and the fact that the incoming recession is going to lead to their epic price crash call being correct. So, when in doubt, I go back and look at history. And again, folks, it's not that hard to find. I have given you access to now a 54-year spreadsheet. Go to my website, onerentalatatime.com. It is right there. It is free. It's not behind a paywall. It is right there for you to consume. So the question is, has recessions led to home price crashes? Now, obviously, you and I both know about the Great Recession in 2008, which undoubtedly led to home prices crashing collectively, according to what I read this morning, 19.7%. That is a national median home price. But we have had lots of recessions before that. So let's go look at history and see if the clowns in their mom's basement are right. Okay, 1980. 1980 was a particularly nasty recession. Home prices went up 6.1%. 1981, often called the double dip, right? It was recession, recovery, recession. This was the worst recession since the Great Depression until the GFC. Home prices, I can't be right. It must be 3.5%. 3.5%. Next recession, 1991. 1991, you did see home prices fall 1.9%. 1.9%. We're not done yet. We've got 2001. Prices up 6.6%. Obviously, we've already hit 2008. And then 2020. Yes, folks, we did have a recession in 2020. It was short, it was brief, but 6%. So I ask you, I implore you, I remind you, look at history. Too many folks on YouTube, frankly, are so stuck, almost like PTSD. They have PTSD about 2008, and every scary monster, every boogeyman has to be a repeat of '08. Now, we're better than that. We understand we have to look at a longer track record. So again, historically speaking, actually Logan Matashami from Housing Wire actually went back to 1942. And again, recessions do not equal price drops. I am sorry. It's a great story. It probably feels good to talk about because the silver tsunami you talked about 6 months ago is not coming. But we are smarter than that. And again, folks, these numbers come from CoreLogic. CoreLogic was the source for these increases and not. So again, recession does not equal price crash. And again, let's step back and let's have an honest discussion. Let's have an honest discussion. You own a home. You unfortunately get laid off. You get some unemployment. You start looking for a new job. Is selling your home on the top of your list? I would argue no. Second, the other thing that we have to learn and recognize is that banks, your lenders, behave a lot differently today. Back in the Great Recession, they all made the mistake of getting 90 days late in starting foreclosures. That ended in a mess. It won't be repeated. And now we have this thing called forbearance that is used repeatedly. So again, we just need to realize that the situation is very, very different and that all recessions don't lead to price crashes. I just got this. I just found this on Twitter or X. Our good friend Joseph Wang. Joseph Wang, the Fed guy 12, somebody who's been on the channel a couple of times. He is talking about crash up. You can go back and find Joseph Wang's interviews on this channel. This tweet, it's now X. Do we still call them tweets? I'm going to call it a tweet. So here we go. This took me back. Fed thinks it is being super restrictive. That means that the Fed at 5.25 to 5.5 thinks they're being restrictive. They are hurting the economy. That's what Joseph says. So it has room to moderate policy amidst disinflation and rising unemployment. Remember, folks, Friday's job number was a barn burner. Lots of, birth, deaths, mumbo jumbo, full-time, part-time. We've already pulled apart that number. But the unemployment rate went up to 4%. So Joseph is right. Unemployment is rising. The Fed will join other CBs, central banks, sooner than the market anticipates, and the melt up in everything will continue. So let me just break down what Joseph had to say here. Again, I have yet to speak with Joseph Wang. I'll reach out to him later today if I can. But I think what Joseph is saying is the Fed wants to cut like Canada, like the ECB. And here's the last line. The Fed will join other central banks sooner than markets anticipate. So I ask you, I implore you, ask yourself, what does the market anticipate today? Well, as of today, according to the Fed Watch tool, no cut in June, no cut in July. I think it's 46% chance of cut in September. So, is Joseph telling us a September is a lock because technically 46% is less than expected? Or is Joseph telling us July is coming? I'm going to reach out to Joseph, see if he'll answer that question, but that is a huge tease. And then, of course, the last line, again, something I think Joseph Wang will go down in the history books as being right. The melt up, he called it a crash up on this channel, the crash up in everything will continue. I don't know how I feel about that. If the crash up continues, what does that mean? Well, that means home prices, that means assets continue to run. To me, that also means that inflation, very sticky. Inflation is sticky, best case. Man, best case, inflation could really spike again. We could be repeating the early 80s, right? The late 70s and early 80s where we beat inflation, we come back. We beat inflation, we come back. Ultimately, until somebody has the stones to say, like Paul Volcker did, I'm going to send the economy into a nasty recession. That's essentially what Paul Volcker did when he ripped the rates to 18%. He knew he'd put us into a recession, and he did. 1981 was nasty. So, I don't know. I'm going to reach out to Joseph, see what he has to say. By the way, folks, if you don't know this, Joseph Wang puts out a video, I think, every Saturday morning on YouTube, giving his weekly summary. It's now must-watch TV for me. You might want to take a look at that. All right, folks. Mr. Dan Bird and I have yet again disagreed on something, which I think is highly entertaining, highly respectful. We put out a video yesterday asking you for your opinion, and I want to talk about it here. Dan Bird believes that the unemployment rate will be 4.2%. He believes that inflation CPI headline will essentially be flat to possibly down slightly. Dan Bird is now calling for a 25 basis point cut in September. 25 basis points in September. I, on the other hand, am going to stick to my guns because I don't like changing my opinion with the wind. I want to stick to my guns so you can hold me accountable. I'm actually calling for a November cut. However, I'm actually going out on a limb in telling you that the November cut will be 50 basis points. Here is my logic and my reasoning. Essentially, I think something that Jerome Powell has been remarkably clear about is he is going to hold out one meeting longer than normally a normal Fed president would. I think Powell wants to hold it out more. So it probably makes sense for a September cut, but he won't do it, in my opinion, which will mean the November cut will be bigger, hence 50 basis points. So folks, let us know in the comments below. Are you a 25 basis points September? Are you a 50 basis points November? Heck, are you a Joseph Wang, possibly July? I'd love to hear from you. Put the month below. Again, July, September, November. Let's have some fun. Take a guess. Leave a comment below. Let's also talk about Nvidia. I don't know, folks, if you've checked out Nvidia, but it is down 90% today. It's not down 90%. It had a 10-for-1 stock split. If you own one share on Friday, you got 10 shares Monday. So again, Nvidia is down. But again, it had a 10-for-1 stock split. If you've held on to Nvidia, congratulations. You now have 10x the number of shares. Let's talk about inventory. I want you to realize if you follow one rental at a time and you have a buy box today, starting, if you are, kind of playing around, it's time to get serious. I want you to understand how much active inventory is in your buy box every day. I want you to know the days on market for each listing. I want you to know which ones have had price cuts. I want you to know which properties have come back on the market. I want you to note things like bad pictures, messy. This is the time, folks. Motivated sellers are out there. They exist in your buy box. As we go through the rest of the year, more and more motivated sellers will raise their hand, but it's your job to go find them. Second, it is your job to understand what offer can I make that turns this into a great deal. I can't and I won't do that for you. That's your job. If you don't know how to do that, spend the $400, buy the course, How to Get Started One Rental at a Time. If you kind of get it, fine. Join the school community for $20 a month. Get around people that are doing deals today. One of the things I've loved about the school community already is people in the group are talking about deals and looking at things and asking questions. I don't know this for sure, but I am willing to guess that more than half of the school students do not have my course. And that is okay. That is totally okay. If you've got it, if you've done the work, you just want to get around great people that are doing the work now, don't buy the course. Join the school community. And of course, if you're kind of in the middle, if I had my druthers, I would join school and then I would take the free 10-week boot camp. I put in my 10-week boot camp, which was $1,000 to attend. It's in there. You could walk through that. And if you need more, maybe buy the course later. But those are my thoughts. So let's talk about inventory in markets above 2019. We're going to go bottoms up, top 5. This comes from Resi Club. Folks, if you're not following Lance Lambert at Resi Club and you're serious about real estate, I don't know what you're doing. Tampa, up 6.3%. New Orleans, up 9.2%. Memphis, up 16.7%. San Antonio, Texas, up 19.7%. And the tippity top of the market with the most inventory growth since 2019 is Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, up 35%. Folks, if you want prices to come down, you need inventory. You need growing inventory. You need these things. You can't have price deterioration with no inventory. That's not how supply and demand works. Yes. So again, if I was in Austin, Texas, or San Antonio, and probably even Memphis, I would be licking my chops because we would both know that there are motivated sellers out there somewhere that need to sell. I want to give a shout out to Liz Ann Saunders. Liz Ann Saunders is a great follow, at least for me, on X or Twitter. She put out a post talking about the top 5 markets with the largest price per square foot increase since 2019. I thought this would be interesting because we talk about price a lot, but hey, what about price per square foot? All right, number 5, San Diego, California. Price per square foot is up 65.7%. Wow, crazy. Tampa, 68%. Nashville, 68.6%. Boston, 72.9%. And number 1, New York City, up 84.7%. It's funny, when I looked at this list, I kind of see, a couple of blue states, a couple of red. I thought it was an interesting mix because there's a big talk track around everybody's leaving the blue states and all of that. I don't know. When you look at a 5-year track record and you got New York City and San Diego on the list, Those are pretty blue areas, I think. Anyways, there you go. Alrighty, folks, special reminder, if you are in the school community, in about 15 minutes, oh yeah, exactly 15 minutes, you have a special treat. We have the return of Greg Dickerson. Greg Dickerson had been on the channel for 3 years. He is actually in my second book, The 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. He is the chapter talking about a truck in a toolbox, is how he started his journey. He is the true entrepreneur. He is the guy I want to talk to about how he is set up going forward. I hope to see you there. And because you are a part of school, you get to ask questions. You can either raise your hand or put in a comment, and I will do my best to get your questions answered. Folks, remember, it's time to get serious. Get a buy box, track actives, days on market, price cuts, what is returning or coming back, what properties have bad pictures. All of those things can help you highlight a motivated seller. Time to do the work. Join the school community. Let's go. Later.